I'm a young baby boomer. Of course, Kevin is the younger generation, but with the 7 million baby boomer, we know that there's 10,000 Americans that are turning 65 years old since 2011. So right now it's 2021. So there are about 10,000 Americans turning 75 every day. So if you're going to take a look at the long-term care market, which includes the assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and home health care, so the value of the industry is to 443 billion 2019, right, Kevin? And 2027, it's going to grow to 751 billion. So there's going to be an increment of $308 billion over a period of 8 years. So it's going to be not only an attractive industry, but it's a sustainable industry. And I know Kevin can support it between now and 10 to 20 more years, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that's the defining generation for this industry, which is the baby boomers. When everyone was coming back from the war, we saw an explosion of birth of roughly like 4 million every year from like the middle of 1940s to the middle of 1960s, and they moved every industry. From when they were toddlers, they moved the baby industry. When they were in their adolescence, we saw jeans and disco exploding, and now they're in their senior age, and we're starting to see the senior care industry really explode. And as Randy mentioned, they're only 65. That's actually relatively young. They're still getting older. So I like to say that this market, while it might be competitive, it's not saturated. There's a lot of seniors that need home care.
And like, what would happen in the past? So you have the market that's growing bigger than with Americans moving around, chasing opportunities, or are the children not caring as much for their parents and relying on other caregivers?
Well, we see that a lot of seniors, they can move to assisted living centers, but a lot of seniors want to live at home, and that's something that our service provides by providing a caregiver to take care of their loved ones at the comfort of their own home. You wanted to add to that, Randy?
Yeah, the statistics would show, Patrick, also to your question, that about an average of 280 miles is the distance of family members who are away from their parents. I mentioned to you earlier, my mother-in-law is in Miami. We're here 3,000 miles away. So it's a challenge, and she has her own private caregiver. So that's a real challenge, and more seniors are living longer, Patrick, but they're at health risk, meaning Kevin mentioned that they want to be staying in the comforts of their home, but they cannot if they don't perform the activities of their daily living. They either go to a nursing home or hire a private caregiver. So we have clients who are already 107-year-old, Patrick, so they can't be by themselves.
Yeah, it can be difficult. I think it's like they're referred to as a sandwich generation. Not only do they have to be a family caregiver taking care of their parents, but they have their own children as well, and they have full-time jobs. So it's hard juggling all that.
And for someone that might be interested in taking advantage of this opportunity and shift in demographics, like, do they already need to have professional experience? They need to be a nurse, or what kind of experience do they need? And
a lot of our existing franchisees right now do not have healthcare experience because One Heart is a non-medical home care service company. So we don't need to have somebody who has got some healthcare experience, not even a nurse, because it's more like a non-regulated industry that it only entails companionship, medical appointments, and assistance in meal preparation, a little of the light housekeeping. So it's more like a companionship and a simpler, day-to-day assistance to the seniors.
Yeah, while having medical background might be helpful, it's not absolutely necessary. In fact, I think, Randy, our top franchisee performers didn't have any home care or medical experience at all.
But I'd like to add to that, Kevin, because our group itself has a combined 90 years of healthcare experience. So meaning, if there's a need to understand a little of the pathophysiology of the disease, a little of the care for dementia or mild cognitive impairments. So we are the guys that knows about it, and we can coach them.
Lean on you.
Yes. We can,
obviously, that'd be one of the benefits for opening a franchise, particularly with One Heart, as opposed to just opening up your own caregiver service. But would love to just hear from you two benefits from someone doing their own type of business that doesn't have that franchise brand and systems versus going with a franchise like One Heart.
for the past 14 years, I've seen also that there are mom and pop home care companies. Kev, right? We've studied that. And we have seen a large number of home care companies fall out, meaning getting off the wagon because the industry is more and more getting professionalized. And the market is brand driven. Whatever industry you are right now, Patrick, whether it's a restaurant, service, clothes, it's brand driven. The market is brand driven. More so, the hospitals and the senior living communities would really ask you, if you're Mr. Randolph Home Care or Mr. Kevin Home Care, who are you in the field of healthcare? So it allows a question of credibility and authority, whether you're going to be good. You know, the brand is very important. The brand name One Heart itself speaks of the heart that we provide care for the seniors.
Yeah, and you have to bear in mind that families, they don't think about home care every day until they really need it. You know, when their father can no longer remember their name, their own children's name, or their mom can no longer walk, that's when they start scrambling for help and looking, you know, what kind of help do I need to get? And they usually don't want to go with a mom and pop. They want to go with an established, credible business that has a lot of experience and success in taking care of this vulnerable population.
Yeah.
Imagine the sales process in terms of acquiring new clients is going to be a lot easier, as well as potentially marketing, getting those leads, if you're going to go with the franchise route.
Yeah, we don't do the bare minimum. We uphold the standard. The nice thing about it is that most, especially here in California, the legislature is following that, imposing more and more requirements. You know, are you doing criminal background checks? Are your caregivers your employees? And the nice thing about it is when that was all starting out, One Heart was already upholding all those standards. So we were able to, glide along easily, and the other mom and pops were struggling, and unfortunately a lot of them closed down. So.
And I imagine, like, being based in California, where it's generally harder restrictions than some of your adjacent states like Arizona, Nevada, it's a little easier when you then go and help franchisees open in some of these other states, right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Actually, before 2016, it was like the wild, wild west here. There was no home care law. But since then, there's been a series of assembly bills and laws that were passed that really regulated the home care industry here in California. But the nice thing about it was that we were able to, like I said, uphold the standards, and the franchisees we had then were able to get their license right away.
Okay. And what differentiates you guys from other senior care franchises? Last count, I think there were over 10 senior care franchises of all different sizes, some that have just 2 locations, some that have 400 plus locations. Would just love to see how you guys differentiate and why franchisees go with you guys instead of some of your other franchisor competitors.
Even before we started franchising, Kevin mentioned that it somehow is, we were prepared. 2011, I was the co-founder also of One Heart Caregiver University. So even that period, 2011, without even the legislature getting in the industry, we have trained more than 3,000 caregivers. And today, we even train some of the competition's caregivers. So it's so good to take part in professionalizing the industry. The reason being is we don't handle products, we handle human lives.
Sure.
So it's very important on the wellness side, and at the same time, the continuing education. So with my 39 years in healthcare, I've seen, Patrick, that our healthcare industry is defective. It focuses on illness. One Heart, over the years, focuses on wellness.
It's great.
Hence, we've done some brain health education seminars, aerobics, brain exercises, fall prevention. Kevin schedules all the wellness activities and programs, something that not an ordinary home care company or even the big ones are doing. So
Yeah, preventative
imagine
care and ongoing maintenance, so you're not having huge issues.
it's phenomenal result that the seniors are really able to experience cognitive stimulation during our wellness programs.
People are living well in their 80s, 90s, where probably when you first started out in healthcare, they weren't having as many cognitive issues because people didn't live that long.
No. Now there's a real increase in cognitive disorder, especially with the COVID pandemic. So they're locked down. They're into solidarity. They're into solo by themselves. So it's great that One Heart participates and contributes to the wellness programs of the senior communities.
Even before we were franchising, we would ask ourselves, why franchise when there's already a lot of home care franchises out there? And the answer was we were beating them. So if we can beat them, we can teach others how to beat them. For me, I'm an operations, I'm not in franchise sales. So I'd rather, instead of having 500 franchisees who are mediocre, I'd rather have 50 very good franchisees. So that's one of the reasons why we're, right now focused on California, on the West region of the United States, is because we want to make sure that the franchisees are following the One Heart system, that they're doing it our way, and they're maintaining the quality care that we provide out there.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the key services that you provide franchisees. I'd be curious, what exactly, is the franchisee doing day to day in the operations? You alluded to light, being by the side of the patient, helping with medical appointment scheduling, but would love to just hear maybe from Kevin, what's the day-to-day operations look like for a franchisee?
Sure. So there's essentially two functions that a franchise owner would have to fulfill. Either they do it with a partner or they hire someone. And the first one is that they would do field work. So they would be a client care manager. They would go out there getting referrals, talking to family members, getting them to sign contracts, and doing case management, essentially making sure that the service being provided by the caregiver is up to par. And then the other side of that is that you'd have someone work at the office. So they would do, bookkeeping, payroll, billing. They do administrative work, and they would also be focused on recruiting and staffing the caregivers. And again, with the home care industry, with the home care agency, basically what it is we look for seniors who need home care, non-medical home care, and then we find the caregivers who can provide that care. So, are they within proximity? Are they, the client is comfortable with a female caregiver? Do we have a female caregiver? She has dementia and Alzheimer's. Does this caregiver have Alzheimer's experience? We match them, and then we charge the client, we pay the caregiver, and the agency gets whatever's in the middle. So that's essentially the core business. It's very, very flexible. It's very scalable as well. You don't need to invest in a lot of brick and mortar. You don't need to invest in a lot of staff. And, we look for franchise owners who can really fulfill those two roles, because we look for operators who are fully invested in their business, and they're willing to put in the 40 hours, maybe even more when they're first starting out, in order to make their business successful.
And, can you tell us a little bit about your most successful franchisees? So you mentioned, 40 hours plus in the beginning. Mm-hmm. What's their background? You said they don't need a medical background, but is it someone that's really good with client relationships, sales, or is it more of someone that comes from an operational background? Who's thriving in the One Heart system?
Our first franchisee has a very strong franchisee experience background, meaning he believes in the franchise system. He used to be a franchise owner of a printing press, so based in Maryland. So when he moved into California, he saw the strength of One Heart system and the group. So he followed the system that Kevin also mentioned, the model that having an office manager and the sales and marketing, and has been a top performer for our group. And just this year, we awarded and recognized 3 successful franchisees who followed the system pretty good, registered a real significant and exceptional growth, because not only did they follow the system, they invested more time than other home care owners. So that allows, the size of your business will be determined by the amount of time you invest in your business and how you follow the system. So just do the One Heart way, and it allows you to have some predictable results.
Yeah, when we first started this business, there was a lot of stumbling and roadblocks, and the new franchisees that come on board, we'll teach them how to address that. So while the path in making your business and creating it and building it will be a lot easier than when we first did it, it's still something that you have to walk. It's still something that you have to put the work and effort. So we're looking for people who have that entrepreneurial mindset that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this business successful, but also not so much that they want to start doing their things their own way, right? You're joining a franchise, so you also have to have enough of a follower mindset that you have faith in the One Heart system. I bought into this, it was successful. I'm gonna, implement it in my business religiously and find success with it. So, it's kind of a balance that we're looking for, really.
That's well said. So I hear following the system, but also, rolling up your sleeves, putting in the hard work, and, it's not necessarily a 9-to-5 job, but I'm sure with time and as you scale up, you can have more flexibility, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's what we're all after as business owners, right? So,
What's the general range of investment if someone wants to open up a senior care business with One Heart?
The total franchise investment would range from $88,000 to $127,000. That will include the franchise fee of $47,500 with a franchise agreement of 10-year contract, renewable to another 5 years, and thereafter another 5 years. So if you're going to take a look at the franchise fee for 10 years, it allows you, when you divide that into 10 years, that's like $4,700 a year. And if you do your own home care business, you're going to have costly, mistakes that will even be more than that amount. So it's good to have a system. It's good to have a constant coach, because we've done it. We've operated our own locations for more than 14 years, and also until today. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because many of the situations and the experiences or difficulty you're gonna encounter out there were already encountered by us for many years.
I'm sure, yeah, they can leverage all your experience. Randy, your experience, 30 plus years, 18 years of experience with One Heart, and then franchise in another 6 years. So it's really a lot of ways that you can save time and money from making mistakes. So they don't have to make the same mistakes that you guys have made in the past and have learned from.
And there's a roadmap. There's a roadmap that Kevin is always strict on. Here's the roadmap, and all you need is to drive at the speed that you wanted, but it all depends on how much gasoline and speed you want. So that's the determination of your destination point.
You'll also notice that when I was describing the business, I didn't mention a marketing department, and that's because here at the corporate office, the franchisor has that marketing department. So all your marketing materials, all your marketing campaigns, it's devised here. We roll it out to our corporate-owned agency here to make sure it's successful. I make sure I ask our head of sales, like, is this marketing campaign working? And he'll say, no, it's terrible. Or he'll say, yes, it's fantastic. And then we give the green light and roll it to our franchisees, and they find the same success that we do too. So everything here is tried and tested, and you don't have to go out and hire a marketer. You don't have to go with a marketing agency. We have that, and that's a benefit franchisees get right off the bat.
Can you talk a little bit about the economics? Like, how does a One Heart franchisee make money, essentially?
Kevin? Yeah.
So essentially, as I mentioned before, they provide non-medical home care services to seniors who need home care services. It's usually private pay because you don't usually use Medicaid or Medicare. Unless you're in other states. Here in California, you don't. Other than that, we also do offer staffing services to facilities. So we do partner with skilled nursing facilities, hospitals, RCFE, residential care facilities, and sometimes they need caregivers. And that's a service that a lot of our franchisees also provide as well.
Yeah. That's the supplemental staffing side Kevin mentioned, and it's huge business for the franchisees because we've done it for more than 10 years as supplemental staffing. So we have ready contracts with Kevin and some references of the facilities. So they just have to make reference of that, and they can build their own staffing. That's a volume business that they can get from assisted living facilities.
So talking about, volume from assisted living facilities and then just the individual senior patients, like how much are they paying per month? How many patients do you really need? How many clients do you need to really break even and then be making good money?
I would say it's going to be dependent on your market. As Randy would mention, it is market driven. So that is something that we'll go over with you when we find a location, carve it out for you. We'll do market analysis and see, how much do you need to pay your caregivers in order to be compliant with minimum wage laws? How much should you price it so that you have a decent gross profit margin? I would say after, as Randy would mention, it depends on how serious and how fast and how much effort you put into your business, because you can start getting revenue after you get your license, of course, from whichever state you're starting out on. After your first month, second month, third month, you could already start getting revenue, but that's all really dependent and contingent on your efforts.
What is good with the business, Patrick, also, as Kevin mentioned, is you have clients that could stay with you for years, meaning it doesn't take like 50 clients or 100 clients per location for you to be able to do it well. There are top performers who just have a range of 13 to 16 clients. And because we do a lot of wellness activities, helping in longevity, improve lifestyle, so they stay with you for 2 years to 6 years. Our first franchisee would have clients who stayed with them for 6 years. And
Wow.
we're talking about 12 hours to 24 hours.
Okay.
So you're making money while you're
So
sleeping.
this is thousands of dollars every month.
Oh, it's an enormous chunk of revenue that you're sleeping, and you've got some people working 24/7. And that's something that,
Like how many caregivers, like what's a range? Imagine some franchisees just have like 1 or 2 caregivers. Do you what's the biggest franchisee? Like how many caregivers do they have?
It's hard to put like a number on it, like, oh, you
Yeah.
need 5 caregivers or 1 caregiver or 5 clients or 1 client, because there's some clients that only need home care 4 hours a day,
Okay.
once a week. And then there's some who need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the range of revenue, it's just crazy how much it can range. But what we do suggest, and if you are interested in this opportunity, as you go through the process, we do encourage you to call our franchisees and ask them,
Exactly.
when did you break even? How long did it take you to make income and get a return on your investment? So that's
Exactly.
something that we encourage our prospective franchisees to really delve into.
and a better way of taking a look at how home care agency pay off SBA loan. SBA loans are extended to home care franchise, so they know that it's a lucrative business. But the default among the home care business owners is very small. They can check it with SBA loans, very small percentage, like 7-8%, while others could be as high as 50% to 80% unable to pay off the loan. So if you take a look at the home care, so that's a very good barometer to be able to see that home care owners are able to pay their SBA loans easily.
Yeah, it's an important stat. At Vetted Biz, we've gone through all that data, and like for food and beverage, it's like for every 5 or so that pay in full, there's 1 that defaults. So not so good when you're looking at stats for opening up a business.
Right.
But very good point to bring up. And then on that, for financing, like besides SBA loans, what are some other ways that people are financing this investment?
We have a third party that we it's not us, it's a third party. They need to qualify. But from our experience, there are funding group that wants to finance our franchise applicants. There are about a couple of them who are able to, they'll take a look your liquidity, your credit score, your 401k, IRA, rollover. So there's a lot of options that our franchise applicants can go to, but they're able to, to fund 30%, 60% of the total amount. It depends on your qualification and credit standing.
And in terms of foreign nationals, like you've had a few people that were able to invest in a One Heart and then actually get a visa to live in the States?
Yes, we have two existing E2 visa. When Kevin and myself is doing the webinar, many of our attendees are from other countries. So surprisingly, we have, I don't know how many applicants, Kevin, probably 3 right now, franchise applicants. The only thing is in some countries, the E2 visa processing has been
exactly
on hold.
With COVID. I mean, some consulate embassies haven't even opened back up for E2 processing, where places like Chile, Hong Kong have been processing fine. Canada is back to processing these applications. So
they're waiting.
Hopefully it won't be too long till everything's back to normal.
We like those candidates, Patrick, because for the most part, they have skin on the game.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
the business fails, they move back home. So
correct.
In terms of just alignment and longevity of the business, you want this business around a while too. You don't want to be dealing with someone that's trying to get out and then they got a job and they don't want to be running the franchise anymore. So
correct.
We see that interests are definitely aligned with these E2 visa investors, and many of them are looking to scale up and grow. And one thing that constantly comes up, because it's different culture, new people, they're often afraid of like the legal aspect, and then hiring, firing. Do you guys help with hiring? Because that's something that constantly comes up with our clients that are investing in the US for the E2 investor visa.
Yeah, you don't need to be an expert in home care law. It's all very manageable. Again, it's non-medical, so you don't have to be intimidated with overwhelming knowledge. We'll teach you. We'll hold your hand and show you what you need to do in order to recruit caregivers, be compliant with the law, and service clients, minimizing the amount of liability and risk. Because I know you're taking care of human lives. This is a big deal. So we do make sure that we teach you how to protect yourselves and your business, and make sure that you're successfully providing care to these vulnerable seniors.
If on the side of the sales and marketing, Patrick, we have an area marketing program, a solid program that allows you to really speed up, ramp up time, at the same time penetrate your own market. On the recruitment side, as in addition to Kevin's real strong point, is that we have an area recruitment program. So we walk them through step by step how to do it. There's a goal setting on X number of caregivers that needs to be in your system by this period. So it's more like there's targeting also in terms of the supply side. So not only on the new client side, but also on the supply side, that you are going to be assisted and supported by corporate office.
Yeah, I want to expound a bit on that. When we have exclusive territories, we're not like other franchises where here's one territory and you're probably going to have competitors in your territory. It's not exclusive to you. We make sure that we carve out a generous territory for our franchisees, and we do an analysis. We make sure that there's enough of a population, that there's enough ways for you to get business in that area, because we want you to be successful. So, on the marketing aspect and the sales aspect, you don't have to worry about that as well.
Oh, I'd like to add with Kevin. He said that we don't need so much number of franchisees. So what we did, we intentionally decided that we offer the largest franchise territory, meaning it's almost double than the other existing senior care franchise. So it's a 450,000 total population, huge enough that you'll be able to make sure that you have really.
I've seen for some, it's like for every 100,000 people, and in South Florida, where the same franchise will have like 10 plus locations.
Yeah. We have 450,000. We want to make sure that you're happy and exclusive, protected territory.
Yeah, so it's plenty of market to go after. So, it's been a very strange last 15 months with COVID. How have you guys fared? How have your franchisees done during this pandemic? And what are the expectations looking like for the rest of 2021 and beyond?
I would say it was very scary. This is a disease that was very deadly to the demographic that we service. It was very dangerous to seniors. But surprisingly, home care is not something it's not a luxury. It's something that's desperately needed. We did see some, apprehension from some of our clients concerned about caregivers coming in, because having strangers come in through their door to take care of their loved ones, and they didn't know if they were COVID positive or not. So during that time, we collaborated with our franchise owners, and we roll out a unified campaign in making sure, getting the message out there that we're doing our due diligence, that our caregivers are going through consistent and constant COVID testing, that they're properly equipped with PPEs to make sure that they're protecting not only themselves, but the senior clients as well. And surprisingly, for what I can say for our corporate agencies, the amount of clients that we got actually went up significantly. Also with our franchisees, because as I mentioned, people still need home care. And if a caregiver got sick, they needed a reliever, and we found business through that. So while other businesses unfortunately suffered, like sometimes the food industry, I've seen a lot of food businesses close down as I'm driving through work now.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially in LA County, like Miami, since September 2020, things have been largely back to open full capacity. But
yeah,
I can't imagine some of these restaurants, especially in Southern California, where they've had pretty severe restrictions throughout the last 12 months plus.
Yeah, luckily it looks like we're turning the corner with all the vaccinations. So it's good news all around for the caregivers and our senior clients.
And what's happened last year, Patrick, is the executive committee with our CEO, we even attended February International Franchise Association annual convention, and we didn't know that it was the COVID time already. Then when we came back, the first thing that our CEO leadership did, Belina Nurnberg, is to gather everybody to get together. Kevin mentioned a unified action where we kind of reduced the fear. So that's the most important thing I think One Heart has done. So when we gathered through our CEO, Belina, together, that particular meeting, March, reduced the fear, and everybody was so calculated in our move and direction that, hey, this is only what we're going to do. Let's keep safe, but this is what we're going to do from here on. And that's constant webinar and also meetings, virtual, that, somehow I think made a big difference compared to other companies.
And, how do you guys see, we talked in the beginning about the demographic shifts, like how do you see the caregiving space change in the next 5, 10, 15 years? And how are you guys well adapted to take advantage of that?
Well, we expect for the regulations to just continually refine itself, more inspections on home care businesses, because unfortunately you can sometimes see that there are home care agencies out there that are not compliant. There are using independent contractors instead of employees. They're not making sure that they're doing criminal background checks, or that they are doing training on their caregivers. So, as time goes by, as the baby boomers begin to get older and older, and that population just continues to grow, that demographic continues to grow, I feel like we're going to start seeing more home care laws regulating the home care industry, just constantly raising that standard and making sure that the senior consumer is properly protected. Does your home care agency have dishonesty bonds? Do you have workers' comp? Do you have liability insurance? Are you training your caregivers? Are you doing background checks? So I feel like that's a trend that we'll continue to see, not just for California, but really all throughout the US. And I would say that One Heart really prides itself in already looking forward and doing whatever is necessary to meet that high expectation.
One of the things that we proudly do, Patrick, also here is, we do, companies do the SWOT analysis. Our team, Kevin, Belina, myself, and all the managers and senior managers do our own PESTEL analysis also. So that helps us to get prepared to the future, understanding the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. So we are prepared for any changes that is going to happen in the next couple of years. And this has to be a constant evaluation and review. So this allows us to be able to adapt to to the changing market. It's not like we're going to be surprised that these things happen, but we've already made an analysis of it that these are going to change the market. So we get prepared for that and we share that to the franchisees. And I don't think other business owners would have that capability to be doing their own PESEL analysis. They're going to have a real headache understanding all the changes in the future. And we have that. We have that, and because we run our own corporate locations. We know what's happening in the market. We know the changes, recent changes. And how to adapt to it is something that we probably are always tuned in to the market.
Perfect. And just wanted to wrap it up. And Randolph and Kevin, thanks so much. For those that are interested in One Heart, I shared the link, oneheartfranchise.com. You can visit and to schedule a call directly with Randolph and his team and see if it's a fit. Because at the end of the day, it's an interview, and you have to determine if One Heart's right for you, and they're going to do the same thing from their end. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, podcast, whatever medium you're listening to or watching from. And again, Randolph and Kevin, thanks so much for having you two on.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks for having us.